Welcome back to the program. Just before we went on the break, we told you about the protests in Ethiopia. Well, we have figures despairing concerning the number of the dead. The government says 5 people. The opposition group says more than 5. Now, the reason why the protests are going on is because the government wants to take over land close to Addis Ababa, the capital. Those who own the land say they're not giving it up to the government. The government has the habit of taking up land without properly compensating people who own the land or those who are on the land. Well, joining us now from the Ethiopian capital, Addis Ababa, is the VOA's Martha van der Wolf. Martha, thank you for joining us on the program.
Hi.
Are the protests still going on?
Yes, the protests have now been going on for about 3 weeks. As you said, the government said that 5 people have died, although opposition leaders say that the amount of death is now around 30.
So are leaders or the protesters, have they found the middle ground somewhere? Is anyone talking about negotiations or sitting down to a round table to discuss what the issues are?
Well, the students were also protesting in April and May 2014 for exactly the same reasons. After those protests, there were supposed to be consultations held between all the involved stakeholders, although students and opposition groups say that that never happened.
So, Martha, my final question, is the government insisting on the land near Addis Ababa? Are they insisting on taking it with or without the protesters still continuing the protests?
Sorry, I didn't get the last part of your question.
Is the government still insisting on taking over the land despite the protests?
Well, by law, actually, you have to realize that in Ethiopia, land is owned by the government. This master plan, they haven't set a deadline as in a date by which it has to be implemented. But the thing is, at the same time, Addis Ababa is expanding. There's a lot of economic growth going on. They want to develop more infrastructural progress and investment areas around the capital city, and therefore more land is needed, and that is what upsetting the people in the region.
Martha, thank you so much for joining us on Network Africa.
Thank you.
And we do hope that you be safe. Well, President Jacob Zuma probably regrets his decision to change the country's finance minister 3 times, as the people have spared no criticism against him. People saw his action as a sign of losing control, and some senior ruling party figures and the opposition and ordinary people are calling for his head.
After days of market turmoil that have triggered calls for President Jacob Zuma to step down, the new finance minister, Pavan Gordhan, acted swiftly to calm South Africa investors, saying he will strive to keep Pretoria's grade rating. Fallout from the sacking of Nala Nene last Wednesday in favor of relatively unknown and untested David Van Rooyen has also clouded the political reputation and future of Zuma within his African National Congress party. His initial appointment of Van Rooyen, a Zuma loyalist in parliament, touched off a critical storm and selling frenzy in the rand currency, stock and bond markets. Seeking to reassure markets, Gordhan says that the South African government was very acutely aware of the financial impact of the recent events.
The government is very acutely aware of the financial impact this has had on those who are invested in the economy. As President Zuma indicated, when a decision triggers developments such as we saw last week, a democratic government has a duty to listen and respond appropriately. I am therefore privileged to address you today. It is our duty to continuously earn the trust and confidence of the South African public, and we commit ourselves to doing just that. We're very aware of the fact that confidence and trust doesn't get handed to one on a platter. It is something that one has to earn and something that one has to sustain over a period of time.
During the midday on Monday, the rand had strengthened by 5.07% against the dollar, recouping some losses suffered last week and putting it on course towards its biggest daily percentage rise since 2008. The rand had traded at 14.4320 per dollar before Nene was fired.
We're in Mali now. The Radisson Blu in the capital, Bamako, today reopened its doors for business following the horrific attacks from gunmen last month. 22 people have been killed, 14 more injured when the men held the 170 guests and staff hostage in a 9-hour siege. The hotel's general manager, Gary Ellis, put out a statement today saying, quote, "We are grateful to the president of Mali, Mr. Ibrahim Boubacar Keita, and to our owner, Mr. Komeses, for all the support they have given to the employees and guests and to help us reopen the hotel in such a short time. We would also like to thank BMS Bank for their quick financial assistance required to reopen the hotel." Just before we go on the program, let's talk about the question for the day. Well, here it is. How do you think the Nigerian government should handle Ibrahim Zakzaki's situation? Should they take him to court, or, I mean, especially with the interference now of Iran calling for the president and the government to expedite action on him? Do write to Network Africa at channelstv.com or tweet at me, Amarachi_Ubani. Thanks for watching. I am Amarachi Ubani. See you next time.